What happens when one of Hollywood's most beloved actors decides he's had enough of a late-night host's relentless mockery? You won't believe what unfolds when Johnny Depp sits down with Jimmy Kimmel for what was meant to be a routine promotional interview, only to deliver one of the most explosive confrontations in late-night television history. The tension that had been building for years between them finally erupted, leaving audiences stunned and social media in chaos. Before diving into the story, hit the subscribe button and drop a comment, because you won't believe what happens when Hollywood civility breaks down on live TV. The atmosphere in the Jimmy Kimmel live studio felt different. The moment Johnny Depp walked on stage, the audience erupted in their usual applause. But there was something in Depp's demeanor that seasoned observers noticed immediately. The playful, whimsical energy of his previous appearances was gone. Instead, there was steely determination in his eyes and a set jaw that suggested this wouldn't be a light-hearted chat. Kimmel, seemingly unaware of the shift, launched into his opening with his trademark confidence. "Johnny Depp, everybody looking good. Looking like you've had quite the interesting few years," he said with his familiar smirk. The audience laughed, but Depp's expression remained unchanged. He settled into the guest chair deliberately, his rings catching the studio lights as he adjusted his jacket. "Jimmy," Depp said with a nod that was more formal than friendly. The single word carried weight, surprising Kimmel, who quickly masked it with his practiced persona. "So, Johnny, you're here to talk about your latest project. But how does it feel to be back in the spotlight after everything that's happened? I mean, we've all been following the legal drama, the tabloid headlines." Kimmel's tone suggested he thought he was being cleverly provocative. The question hung in the air like a loaded weapon. Depp drummed his fingers on the armrest before leaning forward. "You know, Jimmy, I came here tonight to discuss my work, my art, the projects I care about. But it seems every interview these days, people are more interested in dissecting my personal life than celebrating creativity. When your personal life becomes public, it becomes fair game, doesn't it?" Kimmel replied with a laugh that never reached his eyes. "You can't expect people to ignore the elephant in the room, okay?" Depp squared his shoulders and made direct, unwavering eye contact. "The elephant in the room, Jimmy. From where I'm sitting, it looks like a host who built his brand on punching down at people already dealing with enough." The audience fell silent. This wasn't playful banter. It was raw and real. Kimmel's smile faltered briefly before he tried to regain control with a laugh. "Hey, now, that's a little harsh, don't you think? I'm just doing my job. People tune in to hear what's happening in Hollywood, and you, my friend, have been happening quite a bit lately." "Your job," Depp repeated slowly, his voice edged with menace. "Your job is to entertain people, Jimmy, but somewhere along the way, you confused entertainment with humiliation. There's a difference between comedy and cruelty, though I'm not sure you understand that distinction anymore." The tension was palpable. Camera operators tightened their shots, sensing the unfolding drama. Kimmel tried to deflect with humor. "Wow, okay, someone's sensitive tonight. Johnny, if you can't handle a little good-natured ribbing, maybe late-night TV isn't for you." Depp's expression darkened. Good-natured ribbing. Months of jokes about my personal struggles, mockery of things that nearly destroyed my life and career. Jimmy, there's nothing good-natured about kicking someone when they're down. And that's exactly what you've been doing. Kimmel's composed facade began to crack. Comedy is supposed to push boundaries. We comment on current events, celebrities, the news. If you can't handle that, don't. Depp interrupted, his voice cutting through Kimmel's words. "Don't hide behind the comedian excuse. I've worked with real comedians, Jimmy. I've worked with people who understand that there's an art to humor, a skill to making people laugh without making someone else cry. What you do isn't comedy. It's cruelty with a punchline." The studio was quieter than ever. Even the production crew seemed frozen, unsure whether to intervene or let this unprecedented moment continue. Kimmel was visibly struggling. His usual quick comebacks seemed depleted in the face of Depp's unflinching honesty. As the commercial break approached, it became clear this was only the beginning. The real confrontation was yet to come. And Johnny Depp was just getting started. When they returned, the studio atmosphere was even more charged. The brief break had done nothing to ease the tension. If anything, it gave Depp time to gather his thoughts for an even more devastating critique of Kimmel's character and credibility. "Welcome back to Jimmy Kimmel Live," Kimmel said, his voice less confident. "We're here with Johnny Depp, and we were just having a spirited discussion about comedy and boundaries." His attempted smirk looked forced. Depp hadn't moved during the break. Leaning slightly forward, his intense gaze never left Kimmel. "A spirited discussion," he repeated with a bitter laugh. "Is that what we're calling it, Jimmy? You've gotten so comfortable hiding behind your desk, making jokes at others' expense, that you've forgotten there are real human beings on the receiving end of your punchlines." The audience was silent, witnessing something unprecedented in late-night television. Kimmel shifted uncomfortably, fidgeting with his note cards. "Johnny, look, I think you're taking this too personally," Kimmel said, trying to regain control. "Every celebrity gets roasted a little. It comes with the territory. You're acting like I personally attacked you." Depp's laugh was cold. "Personally attacked me, Jimmy. For months. You turned my lowest moments into your highest rated segments. While I was fighting for my reputation, my career, my life, you were making me the butt of your jokes. You took a man's pain and turned it into your profit." "That's not fair," Kimmel protested, his voice lacking conviction. "I make jokes about everyone: politicians, celebrities, public figures. It's what late-night hosts do. You can't expect special treatment just because you're going through a rough patch." "Special treatment?" Depp's voice rose, anger flashing in his eyes. "I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking for basic human decency. There's a difference between commenting on someone's public actions and reaping their personal destruction. You crossed that line a long time ago." Kimmel was sweating under the studio lights, his usual humor and deflection failing against Depp's relentless honesty. "Johnny, if I offended you, that wasn't my intention. Comedy is subjective. What's funny to some might not be funny to others." "Offended me?" Depp leaned back, shaking his head. "You didn't offend me. You tried to destroy me. There's a difference. When someone is already down, struggling, fighting for their life and livelihood, and you pile on for a few laughs, that's not comedy. That's cowardice." The word cowardice hung in the air. Kimmel's face flushed red, and for the first time, he looked genuinely angry rather than just uncomfortable. "Cowardice? Are you kidding me? I've built a career on speaking truth to power, on calling out hypocrisy, speaking truth to power." Depp's voice was incredulous. "Jimmy, you don't speak truth to power. You speak lies to vulnerability. You punch down, not up. When's the last time you took on someone who could actually fight back? When's the last time you used your platform to challenge someone with more power instead of less?" The accusation landed. Kimmel opened and closed his mouth, struggling to respond. The audience was captivated, witnessing a public reckoning more than an interview. "You know what's really sad, Jimmy?" Depp continued, his voice almost pitying. "You used to be better than this. There was a time your comedy came from cleverness, from wit, from talent. But somewhere along the way, you discovered it was easier to get laughs by being cruel than by being creative. And now, that's all you know." Kimmel's hand shook, whether from anger or humiliation, it was unclear. "You don't know what you're talking about," he said weakly. "You don't know what it takes to do this job, to keep an audience entertained night after night, don't I?" Depp's eyes narrowed. "Jimmy, I've been entertaining people for decades. I've made them laugh, made them cry, made them think, made them feel in. I've never once had to tear another person down to build myself up. That's the difference between an artist and a bully. Artists create, bullies destroy. The word bully hit Kimmel like a physical blow. He recoiled, his face cycling through anger, shame, defensiveness, and something resembling recognition. "I am not a bully," he said quietly, but even as the words left his mouth, they sounded hollow, unconvincing. Even to himself, Depp studied him for a long moment before speaking. "Jimmy, when you use your platform, your audience, your power to systematically mock and humiliate someone already struggling, what would you call that? When you turn someone's pain into your punchline night after night, what is that, if not bullying?" The silence that followed was deafening. For perhaps the first time in his television career, Kimmel was completely speechless, and in that silence, Depp delivered the most devastating blow of the entire confrontation. "You know what's truly tragic, Jimmy?" Depp's voice had lowered, but every word carried weight. "You had a choice. Every single night, you had a choice. You could have used your platform to lift people up, to bring joy without bringing others down, to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. But you chose the easy path. You chose cruelty because it was convenient." Kimmel's face went pale. Sweat gleamed on his forehead, and his hands gripped the edge of his desk so tightly his knuckles turned white. "Johnny, I think maybe we should." "No," Depp cut him off sharply. "We're not done here. You wanted to put me on your show. You wanted to drag my personal life into your comedy routine. So now you get to hear what I really think. For years, I stayed quiet. I let you and others like you make jokes about my struggles, my failures, my pain. I told myself it was just part of being in the public eye. But sitting here, looking at you, I realized something." The studio was silent. The hum of cameras was audible. Even the production crew had stopped moving, transfixed. "What I realize," Depp continued, his voice gaining strength, "is that staying silent doesn't make you noble. It makes you complicit. By not speaking up, by not calling out behavior like yours, I enabled it. I allowed you to think it was acceptable to treat people this way. Well, I'm done being silent." Kimmel tried again, grasping for control. "Johnny, look, maybe we got off on the wrong foot. Why don't we start over? Talk about your new project, my new project." Depp laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Jimmy, my new project is making sure people understand the difference between entertainment and exploitation. My new project is calling out people who hide behind comedy to justify cruelty. My new project is you." The words hit Kimmel like physical blows. He slouched back in his chair, diminished. The confident, smug host who had opened the show was gone. In his place sat a man thoroughly exposed, his carefully constructed persona crumbling in real time. "See, Jimmy, the thing about bullies," Depp concluded, "is that they only have power when their victims stay quiet. The moment someone stands up to a bully, the moment they refuse to be intimidated or humiliated, that power evaporates. And right now, in front of your audience, in front of your cameras, I'm taking that power away from you." Depp rose from his chair, his movements fluid and deliberate. The action seemed to break the spell that had held the studio in silence. The audience collectively gasped, realizing what was about to happen. "For months, you made me the punchline of your jokes. You took the lowest points of my life and turned them into your highest rated segments. You profited from my pain, smiling while the applause rang in your ears. But here's what you never understood, Jimmy. I'm not just some celebrity for you to mock. I'm a human being. I'm someone's father, someone's friend, someone with feelings, dignity, and the right to be treated with basic respect." Kimmel remained completely silent, staring at Depp with what looked like genuine fear. The tables had turned. The hunter had become the hunted, and everyone in the studio could feel it. "You know what's going to happen now, Jimmy?" Depp asked, his voice calm but ominous. "People are going to see this. They're going to see you for what you really are, not a comedian, not an entertainer, but a bully who got his comeuppance. They'll see that behind all your jokes, your smugness, and your fake charm, you're just a coward who picks on people who can't fight back. Depp walked toward the edge of the stage, his words carrying clearly through the studio. The beautiful thing about moments like this, Jimmy, is that they reveal truth. All the makeup, all the lighting, all the editing in the world can't hide what just happened here. Your audience just watched you get exposed, and they're never going to see you the same way again. He paused at the edge of the stage and turned back to look at Kimmel, who remained frozen in his chair, speechless. Oh, and Jimmy, next time you want to make jokes about someone's personal struggles, maybe ask yourself this: what if it was your family? What if it was your children watching someone mock their father's pain for entertainment? What if it was you sitting in that chair, having the worst moments of your life turned into someone else's comedy gold? The question hung in the air like a final judgment. Kimmel opened his mouth as if to respond, but no words came. He had been completely, utterly destroyed, not by shouting or theatrics, but by simple, devastating truth. Came here tonight thinking maybe, just maybe, you'd surprise me, Depp continued, his voice steady. Maybe you'd show growth, maturity, recognition of the harm you've caused. But you're exactly who I thought you weren't. Now everyone else knows it too. With that, Johnny Depp walked off the Jimmy Kimmel live stage, leaving behind a stunned audience, a humiliated host, and a moment destined to be replayed and discussed for years. The cameras continued rolling, capturing Kimmel's inability to respond, his face a mixture of shock, shame, and dawning realization that his career might never fully recover from what had just transpired. As Depp disappeared backstage, the studio remained in absolute silence. Jimmy Kimmel, the man who had built his career on having the last word, the ultimate comeback, sat speechless at his desk, thoroughly defeated by an actor who had simply refused to be a victim any longer. The show cut to commercial, but the damage was done in less than 30 minutes. Johnny Depp had achieved what years of criticism and controversy could not. He had stripped away Kimmel's facade and revealed the truth beneath. That truth, broadcast live to millions, would leave a lasting mark.